So I used to be like, oh, I got Mike. And he's like, oh, you going to guard me? I'm like, yeah, because you can't dribble. You ain't got, and back then we used to handle. You ain't got no handle.
Michael Jordan needs no introduction. Even if you've never watched a basketball game in your life, you know his name. When discussing the greatest players in NBA history, Jordan is always at the center of the conversation. He's widely regarded as the GOAT greatest of all time, and his impact extends far beyond the game itself, shaping popular culture and inspiring generations of fans. Whether you witnessed his dominance with the Chicago Bulls firsthand or have only seen highlights, his legendary moments are etched in basketball history. But what do other NBA legends think of him? What do the greats who played with, against, or after him have to say about his impact on the game? Let's dive into their stories and hear firsthand how Michael Jordan earned his status as the greatest of the great. At the time Michael Jordan entered the NBA as a rookie, Larry Bird was arguably the best player in the league. Their paths collided in the 1986 playoffs, where Jordan's Chicago Bulls faced Bird's Boston Celtics.
It was an incredible playoff performance. I've never seen it before, and I had never seen it after.
That Celtics team, widely regarded as one of the greatest of all time, was stacked with elite talent. Meanwhile, Jordan was essentially a one-man army for the Bulls. Bird later recalled the challenge of trying to guard Jordan, or at least attempting to. He admitted that the entire Celtics team, including every starter, took turns trying to contain him. It's important to note that every starter on that Celtics roster was an excellent defender, yet they had no answer for Jordan. He erupted for 63 points, setting an NBA playoff record. Despite Jordan's historic performance, the Bulls lost the game. The lack of a supporting cast around him proved to be too much to overcome. However, that night was Jordan's coming-out party, a moment that cemented him as the NBA's next superstar. His performance offered a glimpse of the future, signaling that once Bird and the legendary '86 Celtics began to decline, Jordan would take over as the face of the league. An incredible playoff performance. I've never seen it before, and I had never seen it after. That wasn't Michael Jordan out there. I was God disguised as Michael Jordan. This line has become legendary. People started calling Michael Jordan his airness after this moment, and it's even more significant considering who said it. Larry Bird. A three-time MVP, Bird dominated the NBA in a way few had before or since. Known for his relentless trash talk, Bird rarely gave his opponents any credit. For him to make such a statement about Michael Jordan was almost like passing the torch.
I just want you two to know there's a new sheriff in town, and his name is Michael Jordan.
Really?
Yes.
Acknowledging that a new era of greatness had arrived. It's almost impossible to talk about Larry Bird without mentioning Magic Johnson. They were fierce rivals for most of their careers, but ultimately became close friends. Their battles in the NBA Finals defined a generation, and their rivalry helped elevate the league as they became its two marquee stars. In 1992, during the offseason, basketball fans were treated to the most iconic Olympic run in history, the Dream Team. This moment brought together two superstars who had defined the league for a decade, alongside the NBA's newest dominant force, Michael Jordan. Fresh off back-to-back championships, and having just defeated Magic Johnson in the 1991 NBA Finals, Jordan had already established himself as the league's top player. But Jordan wanted to make it official. During the Olympics, he confidently stepped onto the team bus, walked past Magic and Bird, and told them straight to their faces that their time on top was over. It was his league now. I just want you two to know there's a new sheriff in town, and his name is Michael Jordan. Magic and Bird had no choice but to agree. At that point, there was nothing they could do. Michael Jordan had officially taken over the NBA. That's how Jordan was viewed by the legends who came before him. But what about the young stars, the future legends, who entered the league looking to take the torch from him in the late 90s? One of those rising stars was Kevin Garnett. Today, we know him as one of the most intense competitors in NBA history, relentless trash talker who never backed down from anyone. But as a rookie, he made the mistake of treating Michael Jordan the same way. During a game against the Bulls, one of Garnett's teammates was having a strong performance. Feeling hyped, Garnett got loud. talking trash about how well they were playing, not just against the Bulls, but specifically against Michael Jordan. Then he realized something. Jordan had heard everything. Kevin Garnett immediately felt the atmosphere shift. He could sense it had taken it personally, and when Michael Jordan takes something personally, the outcome is never in your favor. I can't even really describe the next 6 to 7 minutes of play. Y'all, in this next 6 to 7 minutes of play, we get two 10-second calls. When you bring the ball up 10-second calls, we're down 25. Now, it was just a 2. Mike had 18. He had like 40 now. Junior, myself, we ain't scored in like about 4 minutes. The entire game shifted the moment Michael Jordan took Kevin Garnett's trash talk personally. Suddenly, he locked in on defense, shutting them down while scoring effortlessly on the other end. Garnett and the Timberwolves were completely overwhelmed, unable to stop Jordan's relentless attack. The Bulls went on a dominating run, leaving no room for a comeback. Garnett later recalled just how exhausted he and his teammates were, and how guilty he felt for provoking one of the greatest players of all time. I was like, man, my bad. My bad, dog, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. He's like, it's cool, man. I told you. Shut your ass up, man. You're not thing. After that, he learned a valuable lesson. Mess with the bull, and you get the horns. If we go back even further in NBA history, before Magic and Bird, we find one shooting guard who defined a league in a sport dominated by big men. It was rare for a shooting guard to rise to the top and become the face of the league. Before Michael Jordan, there was only one exception, Jerry West. Jerry West's impact on the game was so profound that his silhouette became the NBA logo. He was an all-around beloved figure, known not only for his incredible talent, but also for his deep respect for other great players. His eye for talent shaped multiple dynasties across different NBA eras, making his opinion on players highly valuable. So, it comes as no surprise that he was a huge fan of Michael Jordan. I really like Michael Jordan, and he and I are friendly. He never changes. This guy has done more spectacular things than any basketball player I've ever seen. The thing that people don't realize is some of the stuff he could do. He was the best defensive player in the league. He was absolutely the best defensive player. There's a bit of sweet irony here, because I can imagine an older player once saying these exact things about Jerry West. When it came to perimeter play, he was both the best offensive and defensive player of his era. He consistently performed at a spectacular level, so it makes perfect sense that he and Michael Jordan share mutual respect despite never having competed against each other on the court. Another NBA figure whose name has grown larger than his playing career is Kenny the Jet Smith, a well-known media personality as part of Inside the NBA. Kenny was also a shooting guard in the 90s, making him well aware of Michael Jordan's dominance over the league. What many people don't realize is that he and MJ actually played together in college at UNC, the University of North Carolina, before their NBA careers began. Kenny has shared valuable insight into the type of player Michael Jordan was before stepping onto the big stage. He couldn't praise Jordan's work ethic enough. Even as a young college athlete, MJ's obsession with improving every aspect of his game was already undeniable. He never stopped working, man. Like, his stuff is not an accident. It's not like, oh, he was gifted. No, he was the most fundamentally sound player that ever played the game. If you watch the videos, his left hand is in the correct passing lane, his footwork is impeccable offensively. His jab step is always there. His ball movement, his feet stay still, like all of those things were always all the time. And then he was the best athlete. Most guys who were that athletic didn't have the package right. On Draymond Green's podcast, Kenny revealed that Michael Jordan actually had several weaknesses in his game when he was younger. According to Kenny Smith, Jordan's ball handling skills were particularly underdeveloped, which allowed Kenny to challenge him on that. However, this is where Smith witnessed Jordan's obsessive work ethic firsthand. He saw in real time how Jordan would spend entire summers relentlessly improving every weakness in his game, ensuring that no flaw remained. I'll say this about him, Dre. He's the only best player in basketball history that the things he came in with as weaknesses were his strengths when he left the league. His ball handling, his shooting, his turnaround jump shot, his post-game was probably some of his weaknesses. Those were his strengths when he left the league. It's almost impossible to picture Michael Jordan without his signature footwork in the post, deadly turnaround jump shot, or elite ball handling skills. But the reality is there was a time when he lacked these abilities. What separates Jordan from any other athlete before him is his relentless drive to eliminate every weakness. By the time he reached his prime, there were no flaws in his game for opponents to exploit. Michael Jordan became the ultimate idol for countless players, with his influence reaching every generation of basketball talent. Even accomplished NBA stars have expressed deep admiration for him. Wade, Kobe Bryant, for instance, once described being in Jordan's presence as a surreal experience, a moment of pure basketball inspiration. It was like my basketball lifespan had ended, and I ended up in basketball heaven. It's a metaphor for life, right? And to just be there, to be able to experience something that Hall of Fame players experience, getting your jersey retired is great. For me, as a kid, I didn't have my family there. I didn't really want my family there. That was individually my moment as a young kid, growing up wanting to be one of the greatest ever to play the game. Yeah, and I got a chance to put on a jacket and be next to my favorite player as one of the greatest to ever play. Kobe Bryant entered the NBA in 1996 as a highly touted high school prospect, eager to make his mark. At the time, Michael Jordan was at the peak of his dominance, winning championships and MVPs, with Jordan setting the standard for excellence. Kobe was determined to challenge himself against the best and establish his place in the league. I used to work out with the 76ers. I used to ask him, "What's it like to guard Mike?" "Mike? You mean Black Jesus?" "Black who?" "Oh, we call him Black Jesus, or you can call him Black Cat." The level of fear that he inspired in others was insane. And I would tell him, I said, when I face him, "We're going to go at it." "Oh, you don't want to do that." I'm like, "What? Man, you don't know me, man." This quote reveals two key things about these players. First, Kobe Bryant was absolutely fearless. As a teenager in the league, he displayed more confidence than many seasoned veterans. His unwavering belief in himself set him apart early in his career. Second, Michael Jordan was the ultimate dominant force of the 1990s. His presence alone was so intimidating that even mentioning his name in certain conversations carried weight. That's how much he ruled the league. However, some argue that Jordan didn't dominate the league alone. The Chicago Bulls as a team were a powerhouse, a perspective Scottie Pippen strongly agrees with. It's somewhat surprising to hear this take from Pippen, considering he was Jordan's most iconic teammate. If Jordan had a right-hand man during his run, it was Scottie Pippen. But in an interview with TMZ, Pippen didn't hold back, openly criticizing Jordan's style of play and calling him a flawed player. "I don't believe that there's a great player because our game is a team game and one player can't do it. Like, I seen Michael Jordan play before I came to play with the Bulls. You guys seen him play. He was a horrible player. He was horrible to play with. He was all one-on-one. He's shooting bad shots. And all of a sudden, we become a team and we start winning, and everybody forgot who he was." Maybe this is not so surprising since, at the end of the day, Scottie Pippen is just asking for more appreciation of his own efforts as Michael Jordan's sidekick. If anyone is familiar with Jordan's game, it would be Scottie Pippen. Since we're hearing some criticism from NBA legends of the 90s, we might as well hear this take from none other than Robert Horry. Other than Robert Horry, Big Shot Bob was one of the few players to win a championship in the 90s without being part of the Chicago Bulls. What he says about Michael Jordan is interesting. It is hard to say that Jordan is the best player. Is Michael Jordan the greatest NBA player of all time? It's a question that has sparked endless debates among fans, analysts, and even players. But what do the legends who actually faced him on the court have to say? From Larry Bird and Magic Johnson to Kobe Bryant and Kevin Garnett, NBA greats have shared their thoughts on what made Jordan special. Their insights provide a deeper understanding of why he is so revered in basketball history.